with regression, pooled regression. If you have done panel data analysis, you should by now know what pooled regression means. Who doesn't know? Do you remember what a pooled regression is in a setting of panel data? Basically, is to treat all informations, all the observation, as they were not coming from different countries, but as a big pool of observations, okay? And this is the first method that is used. Then, the second one is using fixed effects. What does that mean in a context like this?
Fixed effects.
So in the analysis of panel data, you studied fixed effects and random effects, right? I'm speaking in Arabic. No? Okay. In the framework of panel data analysis, we can use fixed effects, which means, okay, in this case, country fixed effects. What does that mean? That each country has a different intercept. So the observations are not treated the same as as you were studying all the informations at the same time coming from all countries, all those developing countries. Now, when we use fixed effects, we take into account the fact that these observations come from different countries. So, here's an example. So, imagine that here we have this cloud of points. So imagine that here you have the cloud of points from country A. Here you have the cloud of points from country B, and here you have the cloud of points from country C. Imagine that this is Italy, Mozambique, and United States again. So, if we study this observation using the pooled regression, we would end up with something like this. Okay? We would end up with something like that, okay? That's a regression line that we make.
Magico. Magico.
Is this clear?
Yeah. Yes.
Amazing. Now, if instead we study this relation, in this case can be wherever variable, child mortality and what is a variable that could be correlated in this way with child mortality?
May I have something?
Yeah,
when it's pooled data, all of these three clouds all together, we put them all together in one cloud and make this.
and estimate the regression line.
Okay.
And in this case, so if y is child mortality, what can be a variable? Which variable should be correlated in this way with child mortality? So positive relation.
Rate of birth rate.
Birth rate. Other suggestions?
Maybe it could be access to healthcare for pregnant mothers.
If one of
In that case,
if
so in that
child
case,
increases,
we
what
would see,
increase
I mean,
again?
if access to care increases, then child malnutrition should decrease.
Child
So instead here we have a positive relation, so
Positive
something that could be,
Then the absence of this.
yeah, that could be lack of access, for example, to skilled healthcare.
something negative.
Okay, but this is not.
Population
This is just to think about what could be done. Now, if instead we apply the fixed effect, the country fixed effect, what would we
domestic health expansion.
we would have like
Maybe.
this line for country A, this line for country B, and this line for country C. Okay?
Okay.
Now, notice that this is the same. Okay? So, when we study a relation for many units, in this case, many countries, and we apply country fixed effects, as in this case, then we apply a different intercept to different countries. Please,
But the slope will be the same
slope will be the same.
because in this way we estimate only the effect of the variable and okay.
And net of all the
The other.
specificities of each country.
Can you repeat?
I will explain it. Yeah. No, because otherwise, understanding what is explained in the paper, understanding the coefficients would be rather difficult. So today, theory. Let's see then what we end up with the exercise. Okay. First method used in the paper. I want to analyze the determinants of child mortality, and I want to study that with only one variable, because otherwise I cannot put that into a figure. And so, if I study the effect of X on child mortality using a pooled regression, all the observations will be in a big cloud, even though they come from different countries, okay? And in this case, I estimate a coefficient for that variable, which doesn't take into account the fact that those observations come from many countries. Sometimes this is useful because, I mean, you want to study at a global level or at level of developing countries what is the effect of variable X on variable Y. And you don't care where the observations, where the people come from. Then, sorry?
We don't take what? Here you said something.
We don't care
We don't care
about in which country these people come.
So we don't care about the country. So we put all the countries together and we estimate this relation for all the countries. Now, instead, if we introduce fixed effects, country fixed effects in this case, we are saying that, okay, now we acknowledge that countries have their own specificities, that the relation between access to healthcare and child mortality is, I mean, may be affected by the fact that countries have their own specificities, and that's why we want to estimate the relation separately for each country.
Can you please repeat what can affect what country specificity affect
Country specificity, so
affect on what?
can affect the relation.
Ah, okay.
Can affect the relation between variable x and variable y.
Right.
And when we introduce country fixed effects, what we are doing in econometric terms, in a way, is to study this relation for all different countries. So we treat the points for a country differently from the points for another country. And you can see that the slope is the slope for each country is the same. What differs is the intercept. Okay? So with country fixed effects, each country has its own slope, has its own intercept, but the slope is the same for all countries. And you can notice that most of the time, the effect that you get using fixed effects is different from the effect that you get when studying a pooled regression. In this case, you would have a bigger coefficient in the pooled regression or in the country fixed effect regression. In the pooled. In this case, in the pooled. Okay, so in this case, the slope for the regression line estimated using all the observations in a single cloud is much bigger than the slope that you get when you introduce country fixed effects. Okay? Questions, doubts? Then the paper also implements a third method, but we will not analyze that one, which is the generalized method of moments. But just if you're curious about that, that studies the long-term relation and the short-term relation at the same time in a system of equations. And it's interesting because it provides interesting results, and it has been used a lot in panel country settings, but will not think about that. And in the assignment, indeed, I told you to skip that section. Now, about regression results. This part, I suppose that is completely clear, so understanding when a coefficient is statistically significant, where to look, p-value, standard errors, I assume this is okay, right? Okay, amazing. Now, among those of you who attempted to do the exercise, who had state, etc., how many think it was too easy? Adequate? Too complicated? Too advanced in a way? It's fine. Just to understand so that we run through some of the steps together now. And but at least when you now read the paper and see, okay, panel fixed effects and pooled regression, you have a better idea of what's going on there.
This is right. Reds are fixed effects. Green is moved. That's right.
Yes. Very fun. Very fun.
I draw.
Now.
Yes.
Share with me.
Um,
And also maybe you can highlight the slopes and meters.
I wrote
Meters
here.
is
Slope is the same without confusing.
yeah. Great. Right. Maybe you have